Welcome to the 5 at 5, and this follows West Ham 2, Arsenal 2. Now, I can't lie, after 10 minutes of this game, I thought my 5 at 5 might just be talking about 5 Arsenal goals in a 5-0 easy away victory at West Ham. But unfortunately, the rest of the game didn't go to plan. So let's get into the 5 at 5, but make sure you smash the like button on this video if your team is still top of the league. Number 1, Mikel Arteta's subs. So, in the second game in a row, he's made substitutions that I'm just not very impressed by and I didn't agree with, and then obviously they haven't even worked either. Against Liverpool, he's taken Partey, he's taken Ødegaard off for Jacob Kivior, which just didn't work. Kivior didn't have a very good 10 minutes and made an error straight away that put Darwin Núñez through. Thankfully, Aaron Ramsdale saved that. And then also he took off Gabriel Jesus. Now, against West Ham, this time Gabriel Jesus yet again comes off, and the other person was Thomas Partey. Now, in both of the games against Liverpool and West Ham, I think Gabriel Jesus has been playing really, really well. And his game management has been coming to the fore, and is a player that's willing to get on the ball, drop deep, make sure that we retain possession and take the sting out of the game. Taking him off, I don't think helps. Also, taking Thomas Partey off, I get that one a little more to an extent because he was, like Jesus was on a yellow, but Thomas Partey is going to be more at risk of getting the second yellow than Jesus is, given the position that he plays in. And also, Thomas Partey wasn't having the best game. We'll come on to that at a later point in this 5 at 5. But for me, taking Jesus off is just a bad move. The reality is, we all know, as much as we love Bukayo Saka, if anyone needed to come off, it was Bukayo Saka. And not just because of the penalty miss, it just seems like Bukayo Saka's lost a little bit of sharpness. Now, we saw that in his run where he ran about 70 yards and got a shot off, but the shot had nothing behind it. It seemed to lack a bit of conviction. Even Martinelli came off for Reiss Nelson at the end, and that was the second opportunity Arteta had to take Saka off after the first opportunity being the one where Gabriel Jesus came off for Trossard. Let me know whether you agree with me or whether you agree with Arteta's substitutions, but unfortunately I feel like he's got them wrong against Liverpool and he's got them wrong against West Ham, and it's cost us. Number 2, and I spoke about Thomas Partey, who has been incredible this season for Arsenal. In fact, for me, he's in the Premier League Team of the Year. There's no one that's played better in that position in the entire league than Thomas Partey. But yesterday, he had a stinker. Let's not deny it. He gave away the ball for the first goal, trying something really stupid in an area of the pitch where he should not be doing that. The brilliance of Thomas Partey's game all season has been his awareness and his simplicity. And in that moment against West Ham, he was aware of Declan Rice coming in, but he didn't do the simple piece and just play a sensible pass or shield the ball with his body, which he's so good at doing. When we look at his performance, he only won 29% of his ground duels and only 50% of his aerial duels, and was subbed off after 67 minutes. Now, whether you think that subbing him off was the right call or the wrong call is quite debatable. I'd be interested to know what you think, because on one hand, yes, he was not having a good game, but on the other hand, I can't remember many times where Arsenal looked better when Thomas Partey isn't on the pitch. Now, the interesting comparison to be made in this game was between Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. There's been a lot of rumours about Declan Rice joining Arsenal, and let me know in the comments right now whether you would like to see that transfer happen. But Declan Rice had a much better game than Thomas Partey, and he seemed fired up and eager to impress. To Thomas Partey's 29% of ground duels won, Declan Rice won 50%. And in terms of aerial duels, Thomas Partey 50%, Declan Rice 67%. Overall, even to the eye, you could see that he had a better game and impacted the game in a positive way even more. In fact, it was Declan Rice that stole the ball off of Thomas Partey to set up the first goal where they won a penalty. Now, for those of you that are saying it wasn't a penalty, I disagree. I think it was. And a lot of people say that it should have been given as a handball into Declan Rice. But for me, I feel like it hit his body before it hit his hand. So Declan Rice, fair play to him, did very well. And it just really made Thomas Partey's afternoon even more worse. Number 3, Starboy Saka. Is he burning out? What is going on with him? He hasn't really looked the same in the last couple of games, and I know they're tough away games, and maybe he'll be back to his best against Southampton. But did you know, only 2 Arsenal players have played more minutes than Bukayo Saka this season? And that is our goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale, which you could say doesn't even count, and Gabriel, centre-back. Now, for me, Saka playing that many games, that many minutes at such a young age, and then he plays for England all the time as well, whilst someone like Gabriel Martinelli might actually get a rest when it comes to the internationals. Maybe he's burning out and he needs a break. He didn't look himself against West Ham, and I'm worried that if we continue to play him, we're not going to get the best out of him. Would you rest Bukayo Saka for the home game against Southampton and say to Leandro Trossard, you come in, or even Emile Smith-Rowe, or even Fabio Vieira, or even Reece Nelson? We have got options. Would you drop Saka, not because of poor performance, just to make sure he's fit and ready to go for that huge clash against Man City? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 4, pressure, the P word. We're going to have to talk about it. I want you guys to let me know whether you think the pressure is now telling. Is the pressure getting to Arsenal, or were these just 2 games that naturally panned out the way they did? For me, I think it's very, very clear, in my opinion, that the pressure is getting to these group of players. After starting so well against Liverpool for the first 40 minutes and starting so well against West Ham for the first 20 minutes, that's still not enough to get rid of that pressure. And ultimately, especially in this game against West Ham, they were the better team for large parts of the game. We were simply unable to turn the tide of momentum in this game. Now, in the game against Liverpool, it was that moment with Granit Xhaka that gave Liverpool a bit of wind in their sails, and they went and scored the goal. And on this occasion, it was a silly moment by Thomas Partey, and also a really, really silly challenge by Gabriel, because what he was doing going to ground in that way was just really, really not his finest moment in terms of defending. And these things that we're talking about, for me, are the manifestation of that pressure and how it can knock you off your natural game. For so long this season, a young team has done so well and they've almost been able to avoid that pressure. But with Man City just notching up the performance levels even more, I think the pressure is telling with Arsenal. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know whether you think it's pressure or whether you think it's something else. We've got the perfect opportunity now to get 3 points on the board and beat Southampton in our next game. And we absolutely need to do that. Otherwise, we can really kiss this title goodbye. Number 5, the decider. This game is going to be huge. And I know we should only look at our next game, but it's impossible not to look at that clash at the Etihad, Man City versus Arsenal at 8 p.m. on the 26th of April. In 9 days' time, we've got to play that game, and there is no more difficult fixture in the league, and Man City are going to be pumped up. But one benefit that Arsenal have got over Man City is that we only have to play 1 game ahead of that, and that's on Friday. So we've got a good 5-day gap between our game against Southampton on Friday versus our game on the 26th against Man City. City, on the other hand, have got 2 games to play. They've got a Champions League tie against Bayern Munich that, yeah, sure, they'll walk that. And then they've got an FA Cup tie as well that they need to play on the Saturday. Now, that means they'll only have 4 days break between their FA Cup tie and the big clash between us and them at the Etihad. But they'll also have played double the number of games. And I know it's not a nice thing to do, but if any players are coming off and are out of selection for the Arsenal game, well, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to celebrate an injury, but hey, a bit of cramp here and there and players out with dead legs or whatever, nothing serious. I will take that every single day of the week. Let me know your predictions for that huge, huge game. If we win against Southampton and avoid defeat against Man City, this title is a real 50-50. But if Man City win, and especially if we don't beat Southampton, then obviously it's gone. Even if we do beat Southampton and Man City win, I think the title is now theirs. So let me know what you think is going to happen, and fingers crossed we can go there and get a result. I'll take a draw, but a win would be absolutely legendary. Let's back the boys right till the very end. Thank you for watching the 5 at 5. As ever, get stuck in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts, your predictions, whether you agree or disagree with me. And please do subscribe to the channel. The last thing that I would say is that I'm going to put the link in the description below for the social charity fundraising that I'm doing. I need about 500 people to just chuck £5 each. I'm not asking for a lot, just a little. If you can contribute, I'd really appreciate that. And we can continue to sponsor the orphans that we've been sponsoring for quite a few years together as a bunch of strangers who have never met. I think it's a lovely thing for us to do. Take care. See you after the Southampton game.